pregnant. As soon as the mother-in-law left, she hurriedly fixed her wedding dress. That was when Ji-won came over. Soo-min put on a blissful smile and asked Ji-won to bless her. Ji-won simply complimented her wedding dress, saying it suited her well. Soo-min continued pretending to be happy, proudly saying that her mother-in-law had personally chosen it and repeatedly bragging about how much she was loved. Ji-won almost laughed out loud. She knew that woman too well. If she hadn't been reborn, she might have believed it too. In reality, Soo-min had no choice. She had been forced to wear that dress. Only then did Soo-min remember something Ji-won had once said. Back then, she hadn't understood it at all. She had even insisted on going out with her boyfriend on weekends to show off. Now, looking at Ji-won's calm smile, Soo-min suddenly realized she was the fool. Still, she comforted herself. She had stolen a 7-year relationship and walked straight into marriage. What she didn't know was that this road led straight to her destruction. Just days after the wedding, the newlyweds were kneeling in front of the mother-in-law. Min-hwan begged his mother for forgiveness, saying he had been forced into it. The mother-in-law exploded. The apartment she had worked her whole life to buy had been secretly sold to pay off debts. Yet she placed all the blame on Soo-min. Don't you know how to keep an eye on your husband? That angered Soo-min. The house wasn't even in my name. He sold it behind my back. How would I know? She finally stopped holding back and defended herself. You know exactly what kind of man your son is. I've done nothing wrong as a daughter-in-law. You have no right to blame me. They had only lived together for 3 days, and the house was already a disaster. Dirty clothes were everywhere, and even the dishes hadn't been washed. The mother-in-law seized the chance to assert authority, ordering Soo-min to clean the house and do the laundry. This is what a daughter-in-law should do. Soo-min endured it, forcing herself to act like a virtuous wife. While pulling a blanket, she nearly got crushed. At that moment, the doorbell rang. She received an anonymous envelope. Inside were photos of Kang Ji-won and Yoo Ji-hyuk on dates, along with documents detailing Ji-hyuk's background, identity, and wealth. Only then did Soo-min realize that Ji-hyuk was the chairman's grandson and one of the company's shareholders. A horrifying thought hit her. Had Ji-won already planned to secure Ji-hyuk before discarding Min-hwan and handing him over to her? She went mad with rage, smashing everything in the house. She swore she would make Ji-won's life worse than death. What she didn't know was that Yoo Ji-hyuk had been in love with Ji-won for a long time. Now that they could finally be together openly, they actually had Soo-min's ruthless scheming to thank. But some people's ruthless methods don't end there. Soon after, Soo-min's mother, who hadn't contacted her in over 10 years, suddenly appeared, pouring out stories of hardship and sacrifice, claiming she had never forgotten she had a daughter. Moved by blood ties, Soo-min tried to let go of the past. She took her mother shopping, bought her bags and expensive jewelry, and even took photos together. Seeing all the gifts, her mother smiled broadly, praising herself for raising such a good daughter. But in the next second, she exposed herself. So dating a rich man really pays off. You've become very generous. At that moment, Soo-min finally understood why her mother had suddenly returned. She stood up decisively, intending to leave, but her mother stopped her and bluntly asked if she wasn't planning to give her any money. She said she didn't need much, just 200 or 300 million would be enough. After leaving, Ji-won wiped away her tears and tried to comfort herself, telling herself that this woman no longer existed in her life. What she failed to realize, however, was just how cruel this mother truly was. At the same time, on Ji-won's way back, a truck had already been waiting. As she stopped at a red light, the truck suddenly sped toward her at full throttle. At that speed, Ji-won was completely frozen in fear. Suddenly, another car rushed in and blocked the truck head-on. It was Yoo Ji-hyuk, the man she loved deeply. His car was sent flying by the impact. In a hotel room, her mother was restless, not because she was worried about Ji-won's condition, but because she was anxious to know whether her daughter was truly dead. The two of them waited in the hotel for news from Ji-won's father. When he finally knocked on the door, Ji-won felt nervous, but from his helpless and panicked expression, she knew he was completely unreliable. Meanwhile, the wealthy second-generation heir was rushed to the hospital. Everything happened too fast for Ji-won to process. But once she came to her senses, rage exploded inside her. The investigation soon revealed that the hit-and-run driver was Soo-min's father. Ji-won knew immediately that this plan could never have been carried out by Soo-min alone. From their conversations, she understood clearly that this was no accident. These people didn't even deserve to exist in her life. Soon after, Min-hwan received notice that he had been fired for poor work performance. When he returned home, loan sharks were already waiting. Knowing their brutal methods, he was terrified. As expected, he was beaten badly. He searched the house for valuables, but nothing could cover his debts. Then he remembered his wife mentioning she had bought stocks. With no other option, he placed all his hope in them. Unexpectedly, the stocks had earned over 80 million won. It wasn't much, but at least it could temporarily save him. Unaware of all this, Soo-min was still hiding in a hotel, plotting against Ji-won. She hated seeing Ji-won gain happiness. What she didn't expect was that Ji-hyuk was incredibly lucky. Even with his car completely crushed, he survived. Now, it was time for their counterattack. Because the company was publicly listed, every employee had insurance coverage for their family members, even after resignation. Min-hwan soon received a death insurance policy. He noticed only one line. If the spouse died, the payout would be 5 billion won. A plan slowly formed in his mind. After marriage, Soo-min wasn't foolish either. She secretly followed her husband to a hotel and caught him cheating. Although furious, she was prepared and pulled out her phone to record evidence. However, she never imagined the outcome. She was the one who ended up being arrested. Her husband mocked her, asking what good accusing him of adultery would do. Realizing she had provoked him, Soo-min panicked and offered to give him all her money. Min-hwan calmly opened the stock account, which showed a balance of 0. Only then did Soo-min sense real danger. This man was far more terrifying than she had imagined. He had already been eyeing her insurance payout and had no intention of letting her go. When he went to the warehouse to get tools, he discovered she was gone. In the next moment, Soo-min rushed toward him. She tried to escape, but he refused to spare her. In the chaos, she grabbed a glass and smashed it hard against his head. As he staggered, she seized the chance and shoved him with all her strength. The scene was identical to the way he had pushed Ji-won before. The moment he fell mirrored Ji-won's death perfectly. Was this karma? One day at work, Ji-won received a message announcing Min-hwan's death. Looking at the man who had once killed her, now permanently separated between life and death, she still couldn't understand why he had treated her that way. Just then, the mother-in-law appeared, furiously accusing Ji-won of abandoning Min-hwan and choosing Soo-min instead, blaming her for his death. As for Soo-min, although she survived, she would spend the rest of her life in prison, endlessly haunted by Min-hwan's ghost. And Ji-won, the friend she once betrayed, finally lived the happy life that Soo-min had always wanted.
Footsteps fade, the echoes call, 1,000 dreams begin to fall. And it's over, it's over. The curtain's drawn, the story fades, but the feeling's strong.
Korean Netflix like, comment and subscribe.